Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Akanksha Sharma, and this video is a part of a series of videos to understand photodermatology, or simply put, how sun affects the skin, so that the emphasis of photo production is established. Now, if you haven't watched the first part, go watch the first part, which is for the basic physics of sun rays and the UV radiation. And now we start with the second part of this video. So we will be studying about photobiological reactions. So let us start with photobiological reactions. Okay. What is photobiology? So photobiology is how the sun will be affecting the living beings, all the living beings on the planet. But obviously we are not concerned about all living beings on the planet, because most of them have fur or body hair to protect themselves from the harmful sun rays. However, due to evolution, humans have lost their body hair, so we need to study about photobiological reactions. Now, the effect of shorter wavelength is more pronounced due to more energy. We've studied this in the first part of the videos also. So we can establish that the energy of UVB radiation is maximum, followed by UVA and visible light. And infrared light does not cause a lot of biological reactions because the energy is very low. So this can be proven by the fact that for the same erythema, for the same redness on the body, the dose of UVA radiation has to be 1000 times more than that of UVB. Okay, so UVB is very potent type of radiation, very energetic, whereas UVA is less potent and visible light is least potent. Now there are various stages of a photobiological reaction. So we will start with the sun rays hitting the skin. What happens when these sun rays hit the skin? We are here. This is the classical physics diagram that we remember. So the light is striking a surface, and what is happening after that? So this is the incident radiation, sorry. And this is the skin surface. So this is the incident radiation. Now once the incident radiation comes, what happens? 5 to 10% of this is reflected. Now, what is specular reflectance? Specular reflectance depends upon how much the radiation is reflected. So if we have a rough skin, the specular reflectance will be low. And if we have smooth skin, the specular reflectance will be high. So fine, out of all the incident radiation, okay, 100% of the incident radiation, 5 to 10% is getting straight away reflected away from the skin surface. Fine. Next 50% is being scattered. So it is being scattered haphazardly. And then lastly, we have the absorbed radiation, which is moving into the skin, into the layers of skin. That is the epidermis, the dermis, and the subcutaneous tissue. However, the UVB, it does not have much penetrance with comparison to UVA. Longer the wavelength, more the penetration. Okay, fine. Now, the light is absorbed into the skin. What is happening after the light is absorbed into the skin? Absorption of light by a chromophore. Now, what is a chromophore? Any substance in our body that will be absorbing the light is a chromophore. So it can be protein, it can be melanin, it can even be hemoglobin. So obviously, this is the skin surface. These are the keratinocytes, the cells which are present in the skin. Now these cells have amino acids, they have DNA, they have melanin. So all these will be acting as the chromophores, the first respondents, we can say. Okay, so amino acid, DNA, melanin, and hemoglobin, these are the chromophores. Now, what is the absorption maxima of a chromophore? It is that particular wavelength which has the highest probability of absorption. Like, it will be different for different molecules, and it will be the absorption maxima of that chromophore. We are not much concerned about the absorption maxima. The only thing we need to learn here is that once the radiation is absorbed into the skin, the chromophores will be taking that radiation. Okay. Now, there will be certain changes in the chromophores. So what will be those changes? Now, this is a chromophore in its ground state or the relaxed state. Fine. Now, it will get excited. Obviously, energy is hitting the chromophore, so it will get excited. It gets excited to a singlet state. So this is the first state to be formed, and it is a very transient state lasting for nanoseconds. Fine. So chromophore being struck by the photons of light, getting transformed into a singlet state, which is lasting for nanoseconds. Fine. Now, once this action ends, because obviously it is a very unstable Singlet state is very unstable state. It will go back to the ground state. Fine. So now when the energy will be released, it will be released as fluorescence, heat, or a photobiologic reaction. What can happen further? So this singlet state can also get further irradiation, and it will get converted into a triplet state. Now this triplet state is relatively stable. It is not stable, it is relatively stable, and it will last for microseconds. Okay, fine. So this was nanoseconds, this is microseconds. So it is relatively stable. Here also, when it goes back to the ground state, there will be heat, phosphorescence, and a photobiological reaction. Now so much energy is being released, it will do something, okay? So there will be formation of photoproducts. So even this triplet state is transient. It initiates a photochemical reaction. Now what is a photochemical reaction? This chromophore, the amino acids, that is the proteins, DNA, melanin. So this is a cell. Fine, this is the nucleus. This has DNA in it. The cell wall has various proteins in it. There is presence of melanin in the keratinocyte. All these chromophores, they become a new molecule with a different structure, which is known as a photoproduct. Fine. Now what will this photoproduct do? This photoproduct will initiate a biochemical reaction. The photoproduct is being made inside the cell. Okay, so these photoproducts are a foreign product. This is not a biological product. Obviously, it is a foreign product. So this will cause a biochemical reaction, which will cause enzymatic repair of the damaged DNA, induction of certain gene products, DNA replication. That will further lead to a cellular response. Now, what will this cellular response be, and what are these cells we are talking about? So obviously, we are talking about the keratinocyte, because that was the first respondent. We are also talking about the mast cells and other inflammatory cells. So we are talking about all the cells. They will undergo a cellular response. There will be certain changes which will occur in the cells due to the biochemical reactions. And now when the cellular response is occurring collectively in a lot of cells, obviously, it is occurring in a lot of cells, so it will lead to a clinical response. Now what will be the clinical response? So clinical response can be an acute response or a chronic response. Acute response, short lasting, and it occurs within a period of hours to days. So there will be erythema, there will be tanning. Fine. Now what are the chronic clinical responses? So one will be dermatoheliosis, which is a fancy word for photoaging, and photocarcinogenesis, which is a fancy word for formation of cancer. So finally, we have studied the 6 stages of how, when the light touches your skin, it causes a lot of changes in the skin, and finally it will lead to aging and carcinogenesis. Now finally, we will study a few differences between chronologically aged skin and photo-aged skin. So this one slide, you can take a screenshot of this, because in this we will be studying the differences between intrinsic aging and extrinsic aging. So intrinsic aging means that normally, chronologically also, your skin will age. As your age increases, certain changes will occur in the skin. Now these changes will be augmented by sun. The sun rays, they will cause some sort of extrinsic aging also. So in a chronologically aged skin, the skin thickness usually decreases. But in a photo-aged skin, the skin thickness usually increases. Wrinkles, okay, in chronologically aged skin, you will have fine wrinkles. But in a photo-aged skin, you will have deep and coarse wrinkles. The color of the skin, in chronologically aged skin, there will be some loss of opacity. Whereas in photo-aged, there will be irregular pigmentation. The elasticity of the skin, in a chronologically aged skin, it will be slightly decreased, but in photo-aged skin, it will be very drastically decreased. Cancers are rare in chronologically aged skin. The incidence is more in photo-aged skin. So there are certain examples of photo-aging that I would like to show you. The first one is this. So we can see there are deep furrows in the nape of neck, which is usually a very photo exposed site. So this is known as cutis rhomboidalis nuchae, which is also known as sailor's or farmer's neck, and there are deep furrows on the nape of neck. Now this is a picture of a lady whose this side of the face used to face the office window, and this was the one which was away from the office window. So we can see the changes. Here we have fine wrinkles, here we have fine wrinkling, but here we have coarse wrinkling. So she has a dry, deeply wrinkled yellowish skin, which is known as melian citrine skin. So now we know the changes that occur due to sun rays. Stay tuned for the last video. In the last video, we'll be learning about photo protection, which is the most important part of this video series. For any queries or if you want the notes for the same lectures, you can contact me on my email ID, and kindly like, subscribe and share to my channel, subscribe to my channel and share this video. So thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for the last video.